Are you serious? Are you serious? I'm having coffee this morning. I'm freaking out just a little bit. Are you serious? Just freaking out over this Hanford nuclear site where this tunnel has collapsed. Now, in the thumbnail of this video, I have a picture there. You can see the hole where the tunnel collapses. Now, Dabo 77 has about 3 really good videos, but this one here, he does a great job explaining the Purex site there in Hanford, the Hanford site in Washington State, and he does a good job showing you gives you a global view. Then you get to see this tunnel. You can see the tunnel goes along there, but there's this huge collapse. Inside the tunnel is 21 rail cars full of radioactive waste, plutonium, and uranium and nuclear waste. So, and this tunnel was supposed to be lined, it's made of concrete, and then was to be lined with steel. And the tracks, the railroad tracks, are above ground, and then they go down in the ground into the tunnel, where a lot of times they're left there for a lot of times long periods of time before maybe being taken on in and being processed or dumped in these large steel containers underground. There's 177 of them underground. But at some point, this tunnel collapses, and when it does, it damages. It had to have damaged the rail cars. The question is, where's the steel covering, the steel sheath of the tunnel? Because when you look at the picture, it collapses. So in other words, why would it collapse through the steel sheath? If there was a solid steel sheath, it wouldn't have collapsed like that. So I don't think the steel sheath was ever there. And with that in mind, then if it was there, then it's rusted out. I mean, these things have been here since the 40s. Let me give you some information. The Hanford site is most, and oh, by the way, they said they think it happened because of vibration of road construction. Folks, you have to when you take a look at a Google map of this location, what construction site? I mean, this thing is in the middle of nowhere. Now, it is fairly close. Where this tunnel collapses is close to the Columbia River, and that's a concern I have, the Columbia River. Because if this nuclear radiation is seeping into the ground, which no doubt it is, but if it is, and if it gets into the river, we have a serious problem. Now, the people that are there were told to stay, to seal their ventilation, to seal off their ventilation, stay in their rooms, and don't eat or drink anything. And a lot of them were evacuated, but some were kept inside because for fear if they got out, be exposed to the radiation. Yet we're being told no radiation is leaked. None. Everything's okay. As a matter of fact, the national media, the mainstream media is not even covering this. I watched last night. It was all about James Comey being fired. And my question is going to be, did James Comey get fired as a deflection from the real issue that may be a nuclear disaster going on in Washington? I don't know. But the Hanford site is mostly decommissioned nuclear production complex operated by the United States federal government on the Columbia River in the United States in Washington State. This site's been known by many years, including the Hanford Project. It was also known as the Hanford Works and the Hanford Engineering Works and the Hanford Nuclear Reservation. They established this place in 1943 during World War II as part of the Manhattan Project in Hanford, South Central Washington. The site was home to the B reactor, the first full-scale plutonium production reactor in the world. That's how old this facility is. The plutonium manufactured at the site was used in the first ever nuclear bomb that was tested at the Trinity site and in Fat Man. The bomb also detonated over Nagasaki, Japan, to end the war in 1945. Now, during the Cold War, the project expanded to include 9 nuclear reactors, 5 large plutonium processing complexes, which produced plutonium for most of the more than 60,000 nuclear warheads produced by the United States. This is, folks, this is where this is where it's been going on, okay? This is where the bombs have been made for decades. And nuclear waste from both uranium and plutonium has been stored underground in these archaic tanks. And obviously the tunnel system is archaic, because or you wouldn't be having this kind of a collapse. Nuclear technology developed rapidly during this period. Hanford scientists produced major technological achievements. Many early safety procedures and waste disposal practices were inadequate. Hello! And government documents have confirmed that Hanford's operations released significant amounts of radioactive materials in the air and in the Columbia River over a period of time. So this is not, do you really think they went down and dug down into these archaic 177 tanks and fixed them? How? Look at Fukushima. The nuclear fuel rods are burning and come through the cooling pools, and they're going, especially Unit 4, it's just going to melt its way into the heart of the earth and releases constantly radiation. It's radioactive. That's what's going on in the Hanford site. Now, again, Dabu 77 is doing phenomenal reporting on this. Excellent reporting on this. He has charts, graphs, he has detail. I highly recommend if you want to get into the technical side of it and look at some of that info, you can do that. I'm just giving you a glossary and a summary. And my own observation is I'm very concerned. I'm actually concerned. I actually just going to ask the question. I know James Comey was going to get fired. The Democrats hated him. They blamed him for Hillary losing the election, and Trump doesn't like him because he's investigating and trying to somehow link Trump or some of his administration to the Russians. So what happens today? James Comey's fired yesterday, the same time that this nuclear site is collapsing. And the Russians come in for a meeting this morning with Rex Tillerson. So, and then the foreign minister, Lavrov, is actually going to go to the White House and meet with President Trump face to face. Now, that's as close as you get from Trump and Putin meeting face to face. And I think this is setting up a Trump-Putin meeting coming soon. So, hang on while all that's going on. The media is ignoring this nuclear potential disaster in Hanford nuclear site in Washington State. I'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. This is very concerning. We're going to talk about this. I'll get more info when we go live at 12 noon Eastern. 12 noon Eastern at my website at www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. Give your life to Jesus Christ. We're in the last days. This is what it means. It's part of the SOARS. Last days.